Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Taso Pardalis, and this is PN Lawyers Back to Business webinar for 2020. A necessary toolkit for re-entering and conducting business in the remainder of this year. Thank you all for joining us today. You know, we usually do these events live, but this situation is a bit unique, and given COVID, we decided to switch the format to this webinar and get you guys the information that you need. So, you know, I can't wait to actually get back to live, and I hope we can all meet in person one day soon. I have seen Rick, one of our guests here today, on the street a few times. So that was nice, but otherwise it's been pretty lonely here in the office alone. So today we're going to cover a few topics, okay? We're going to cover the business plan, saving your space and protecting your company from any leases or contracts you may be in, employment issues in the post-COVID landscape, and protecting your brand and your intellectual property. You know, we'll then enter into a Q&A. So if you have any questions along the way, just type them into the chat on the right there, and we'll spread the questions out and answer them once this is over. So who are we? We are Pardalis and Ovico. We are a law firm, full service law firm, both in litigation and commercial transactions, with offices in Manhattan, Queens, Long Island, New Jersey, and we work. About a year or two ago, we became the only law firm offered globally on WeWork Services Store. So we actually service startups around the globe through WeWork. We started very small, about 10 years ago in Astoria, and have since built one of the best legal teams in the business. We offer full spectrum commercial legal services, from litigation to corporate transactions, contracts, business disputes, intellectual property, trademarks, employment, and just really almost everything. You know, we do most of this at a price that small and mid-sized businesses can sustain. And that's really what our business model is built on. It's built on servicing small and mid-sized businesses at pricing that they can live with, okay? You know, we very often are able to offer the type of flexibility that you don't see with law firms generally. And, you know, my partner, Joe, and I, Joe is here, we were both in business before we became attorneys, so we get it. You know, we understand business as owners, not just as lawyers. And I think that really translates to our customers. And when they deal with us and they see that, you know, it really just, it translates very well for customers. So we started hosting events similar to this about 5 years ago. They're always very well received, and the businesses in the startup community always get a lot of good legal advice out of it. You know, from the formation of your corporate entity to how to structure the company, to the financing of the company, brand protection, trademarks, contracts, employment law, and so on, right? And that's what we're going to cover today. But today I've added something that, as lawyers, we tend to gloss over a lot. I wanted to speak today about the business plan. So that's where we'll begin. So why you should have one and what it is. Every business needs one. And a good business plan, or a pitch deck, as you might hear out there, gives you a chance to really nail your company's first impression to potential investors or customers, okay? It can help you quickly sell your product, okay? And most business plans begin with a company overview, the mission statement, okay? You want to quickly, in one sentence if you can, explain what is the problem that you're solving or you're attacking and how you plan to do that, okay? An example would be Google. We are Google, okay? We are here to provide free access to information to everybody. And that's it. You can summarize it in one quick sentence. In this company overview, you want that mission statement to really hit home in one sentence. You want a summary of the company's legal structure. Is it an LLC? Is it a Delaware Corp? Is it a partnership? Is it a joint venture with another entity? You want a little brief history, you know, where the company was founded, who the founders are, okay? What is the reason that this company needs to exist, okay? Most investors and customers really believe in following a person or a team, okay? Show them who that is and why people need you. The second part of the business plan that's really important is the services that you offer, okay? It's important to define all the services. You want to give customers or investors a clear idea of what they are getting when they come to you, okay? What does your product or service achieve for them? What is the problem that your product or service solves for the customer, okay? How does your product do this? How does it solve the problem? Who is your competition and what makes you unique in that market, okay? And going back to, you know, how does your product or your service solve the problem? Do you have a technology or intellectual property that you're using or that you're building to solve this problem? Or do you have a unique business model that, is different or better than your competitors that you can inform your potential investor or your client about, okay? And what you're going to hear a lot from investors especially is like, hey, that's a really great idea, but how are you going to make money? Or how are you going to get customers? You know, everybody has a good idea. And that's where you answer this in the plan up front, okay? You do this by one, you define your market, okay? You lay out your marketing and your sales plans. You detail the strategies that you're going to use to reach your customers. You know, investors want to know how you're going to go about generating sales, okay? You need that marketing and sales plan in the business plan. You know, determine how you're going to promote your products, okay, or your services. Are you going to promote them on social media? Are you going to do live events? Are you going to do webinars like this one? Are you going to the penny savers, right? You need to have a plan and a layout how you're going to generate sales and revenue for these people, okay? The next part of that is finances, okay? You want to answer or project as much as you can up front, okay? Of course, a lot of businesses don't yet have finances and are not rolling, especially for you startups out there, but you want to project as best as you can. How much does this business need to get going? Year one, year two, year three, okay? How much do you plan to raise in total? Where is that money going to get spent? So I'm asking you for $10. I plan to spend $2.50 on X, $5 on Y, okay? What is the cost of providing the service? So we're going to provide X service. This is what it's going to cost us to provide the service. And then you want to lay out the pricing for that service as simply as you can. So it will cost me $5 to sell this, and I will sell it for $8. The investor can at least get a gauge of what type of net profit to expect in this projection, okay? This portion, the finance portion, should also include due dates and milestones for this performance and for the numbers you lay out. So, you know, you can't go and ask for $1 million and not say, okay, I plan to hit X by January and Y by March. Okay, you need to, with those metrics, lay out milestones for performance that the investor can see. Okay, and of course, a lot of this is projected, like I said, but it's better than not having any idea and being asked, well, how do you make money? And you know, a lot of people who get into business early, they don't think, to create this or to model it up front. But it really makes it a lot easier to raise money and even to show customers where you're headed if you have these financials inside your business plan, okay? So now you've painted the picture of your financials and of the metrics and the milestones of the business. So what's next? Well, by the way, the person who's logged on here is PN Lawyers. There's a PowerPoint going in case you guys haven't seen it. So all of these bullet points that I'm going through are in the PowerPoint, and that PowerPoint and this presentation will be available afterwards, okay? So now here we are. We've created our business plan. We've laid out, the mission statement. We've laid out the financials and the projections. What's next? We've painted this beautiful picture. Management, okay? The management team who's running this show is to most investors just as important as the financials. Who is your management team? Who is on your board of directors? You need to include this in your business plan. You want to have their photographs. You want to have their bios. You want to show the investors and the customers who come to your website or look at this plan why these people are critical to the operation, why they should use you. Look at the experience we have. Look at the people who are operating this business. You need to explain why each member is the right person for the job in this specific industry. And, you know, I say this all the time to people who come in, who are looking for advice either on their business plan or on structuring the company. Investors care more about people than products or projections, okay? They care more about who is driving the product than about the product itself. Who is on your team? Are they investing in you? They're investing in you, not just in your idea, okay? So just one more final thing for me before we move on to Natalie Goldstein. Post-COVID business measures and COVID business measures, okay? So, you know, in New York, we now have the New York Forward Safety Plan required for any business, okay? Each business or business entity in New York must develop a written safety plan outlining how its workplace will prevent the spread of COVID-19. We have one here. It's actually sitting on my desk. This plan does not need to be submitted to any state agency or to the government for approval, but it must be on the premises and it must be made available because every business can be visited by the Department of Health for an inspection. And if you do not have that there, you will be fined, okay? The business plan must cover physical distancing requirements, cleaning and disinfection procedures, contact tracing, and how you communicate with your employees and clients during the COVID landscape. And, you know, these are more requirements that are now imposed on businesses that are either open or reopening, but it's important that you comply with them, not just because we're required to, but they're good measures for everyone to protect the business and its employees. So it's been, you know, a bit of a rough ride with COVID for all businesses. And just in parting, I think, you know, here we've learned a few lessons. And you know, there were some big challenges and some unexpected things, but, you know, some of the takeaways from me personally here at our firm is that, you know, we were able to really build a strategy for working remotely in the event of a catastrophe, whether it's COVID or our building is burning down. You know, we've found platforms to use, whether it's Google Meet or Zoom for communication and GChat, which is what we're using to keep in touch with our team all day. We've managed to keep the lines of communication open the whole time. We're actually communicating more now that everyone's working remotely than we were when we were all sitting here together, which is amazing. You know, we've also found that, you know, we need to be way more agile than we were, and that, you know, it's important to adapt, and the earlier you can adapt, the safer you'll be. You know, we found value in collaboration, and it, you know, while times are tough, there are lessons to be taken away, and for us, those lessons were to modernize the business and to really up the communication, and it's paid off for us, and, you know, we're open, and it's been great.